Jello is a wondrous treat that you can find on store shelves, but it's also a YouTube channel established in 2009 that I got to interview for this video. And you may have seen Brendan Blibber's work before with the Welcome To or So This Is Basically series, and in both series, Jello parodies the works of others to the point where the audience goes, "Hey, if you're so smart, why don't you make something of your own self?" Which is what he did in 2019 with Epithet Erased. This bright and shiny baby was cast into the world after going through many trials and tribulations to give it life. And oh, what a life it has. I'm Daft Pina, and this is Epithet Erased Production Hell. And if you don't want your epithet erased, then go check out Surfshark VPN. Sponsored. But what is a VPN? Well, imagine yourself strolling online in public and oh no, you joined a public Wi-Fi and everyone stole your password. Now you can't watch Epithet Erased on Verve or YouTube or check out my friend's channel Oliver's Peace. Surfshark VPN is to the rescue if you use my coupon code for 83% off and a free extra month of service included. A VPN is basically a thing that says, hey, I'm not over here, I'm over there. Such as soon this year when you want to go watch all your favorite Studio Ghibli films on Netflix and you can't watch it in your own country, you use Surfshark VPN to say, Netflix, don't worry, I'm not in the United States, I'm somewhere else. And along with the power of avoiding censorship, I can block ads and malicious websites using the Clean Web service that's also part of the Surfshark VPN service. And while you look into that, let's dive on into Epithet Erased's production.
Well, what no more, children, for my epithet is barrier! And it allows me to make barriers!
Epithet Erased is not Jello's first forte into the writing scene, as he also created a webcomic called Cornucopia, which fell to the same fate that he poked fun at in his last video in the Welcome To series.
It's really good to see someone putting in the time and actually making their way in the industry today and finish your fucking webcomic!
And in 2019, he helped work on a visual novel called Pizza Game, in which he did the art for. Jello's channel is a dumping ground of anything he wants to make, be it voice acting reels, dubs, parodies, and even sometimes game shows. And amongst this was a Twitch-based D&D-like campaign called Anime Campaign, which features some of the same characters you've seen in Epithet Erased. However, you cannot view this series as it's been taken down by Jello himself, as some of the plot points within it intersect with his 7-episode cartoon. And yes, Epithet Erased is an adaptation of his previous work.
Episodes 1 through 4 were totally new, from scratch. I like the story they tell a lot, it's very complete, because it was written for this, whereas everything beyond this point will at some level be a direct adaptation of this original story, including the episodes 5, 6, and 7, which are the Western arc. If we did do only 4 episodes and then got a second season, it would be very weird to pick it up where the cowboy episodes start, because all that stuff establishes stuff that's important later, but it's a weird starting place, whereas the hypothetical episode 8 I have planned is a really good start of season 2, so it was kind of just a gamble.
As the rewriting process of the adaptation was weird, so was the start of production. Mainly considering that pitching the show technically came out of nowhere. His former contact at Verve, a web streaming service that houses anime along with Channel Frederator Works, always liked working with Jello and his channel. And one fateful day, back in 2018, Jello jokingly pitched Epithet Erased to him, then called Sugar Cookie Jazz to the unnamed person, and surprisingly, they said, yes, 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 I want to make this series, you're super serious with the pitch, I love you. The most interesting thing about this whole thing is that despite working with Verve on the series, Jello owns all creative rights to this product.
Typically, if you are pitching a pilot to, say, Nickelodeon or Disney, if you give them that pilot, you lose the rights to making that show. They own it now. And I think he personally had been burned by that before and hates how the industry works that way. So they were just like, we're just gonna call this an integration and pay you 100 times what we normally would, and we're gonna call it even and you own the show. So that's insane.
And you might be saying, hey, that doesn't sound bad at all. Why is this video called Production Hell? Well, the thing I didn't mention until now was when pitching the show, Jello didn't have a team, art style, or even voice actors in mind at the time.
I'm a criminal, and you're one of my minions. They'd arrest us on the spot.
But I haven't done anything bad yet.
You just broke out of prison.
You're right. I'm a monster.
Yeah, I would say like official production started in May or early June, and that's just like, hey, we need to grab, so this project is weird for a million reasons. One of them being I am not a production studio, I am just a dude, and I had to gather everybody on the fly. Boy, is that time consuming, and just the huge long dockets I had to write for, hey, here's this weird, and like, this is such a hard show to explain to people before you have the visuals going on, because it's like, yeah, it's kind of animated, but not really, and it's kind of a visual novel, but not really, and they narrate sometimes, just trust me, it'll be good. And it was tricky because it's different for every position. So for like the head artist position, I was like, okay, send me your portfolios. I'll get back to you for a second, like basically a callback for art, which is odd. And if I like your stuff, I'd like you to draw this character in your style. So I sent them Molly and a bonsai blaster, and Rhea got it. And Rhea Bertram, the lead designer, is incredible. She's another person I would be like, please hire her. She's excellent. This project would not have worked without her. But so it was like Rhea and then Chelsea and then the background artists. And then we had that art team. And we're like, yeah, we can do this. And like, no, we couldn't.
Not only was finding a team difficult for Jello, but also picking out the right animation studio proved to be challenging.
The original deadline for this project was early July, and it ended up being November, so we got a lot more time, which meant that I had to pitch to animation studios, hi, I would like an opening, and ideally, these 9 other scenes animated within the next couple weeks. How possible is that, and how much do I have to pay you? Most of them did not respond to me, understandably, but Powerhouse was like, here's why we can't do that, and what we would need to do that. And I was like, that's great, thank you. Now I can go to Verve and say, give me more time, here's why. And then I did. There's a GIF that you can find from Wallace and Gromit, and it's the dog slamming down train tracks while he's riding a toy train, and that is exactly the process of this, because I had to hire the vocalists on the fly. Only sound cadence was decided beforehand, and my sister, who's the composer. I was like, you two, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll figure out the rest. Don't figure out the rest. Have a plan. That was a bad idea, because managing 35 plus people and hiring those 30 plus people while you're also doing the project is too much. So that was very difficult. Would not recommend doing that. I had to do all the bookkeeping myself, which meant a lot of days of going, wait a minute, am I gonna be broke? Yup, how am I gonna deal with that? So I had to ask some friends for loans and stuff. And we did manage to do it, because a lot of this project and a lot of things are net 30 from delivery, which if you've never done that, means that once you turn a thing in, you will be paid after net 30, which is 30 days. So I had to do a lot of juggling, like, well, Verve is gonna pay me on the episode delivery, which means that I am not getting funded until the show comes out. I had a lot saved up. I had like 6 figures saved up just from savings, and I burned literally all of it. And I also made the bad decision of paying people every 2 weeks instead of also paying net 30 on my end. So I was being paid every 30 days, which meant that I negotiated with Powerhouse. I would pay them every 45 days for things they delivered me, so I would not be broke. And then I was paying basically net 14 for all of my crew. That will not be how it works in season 2. That was probably the most difficult thing to deal with in terms of here are the difficulties of adding your entire team on together while you're making the project. That was very hard to balance.
Amongst all the chaos that was creating the series, Jello did have a favorite part during production.
Hands down was the vocal direction. I legitimately and shamelessly asked, Emily Fajardo was like my co-pilot on this series. She did some of the video editing. She was the lead engineer, which means she was there for every recording session except for like 2. Which was a lot of time, and then she and I sat down and listened to every take 5 times and picked the best one, and it probably took like 300 hours, I don't know. And I asked her, I was just like, this was so much fun. I loved getting to voice direct, because I've done direction before, but never like never professionally. And it was so nice having the actor right there on the other side of a booth. It's like a different world from doing amateur or professional stuff over Discord or Skype. That's, oh my God, it's so hard to go back to that now. But I would love to do more of that. I literally asked Emily, I was like, hey, if you ever have a show coming up, you need a co-director, would love to be there with you. And she was like, hell yeah. So maybe if I'm lucky.
Now that we understand the highs and lows that went through his production, as a parody artist, what did Jello learn in critiquing after producing his own cartoon?
A new life! It's so close! I can almost hear it! Wait! No, I can't. I can't hear anything. Why can't I hear anything?
I've gotten better at seeing the trees as opposed to the forest. I tend to take things as like a whole work. I have a hard time going, oh, well, the story sucks, but I love the animation, because to me, and still a little bit, if I see a beautifully animated movie and the story is just garbage or the characters are bad, I just go, wow, what a waste of talented animation. I'm a little better at going, at least that has good animation now. And I can appreciate that because everything is done by a different department, and like, if it just so happens that like the supervisor of this thing was bad, that might have tanked a certain segment. I still have no sympathy for bad writing though. Writing happens first. It's not that hard. So that one I'm still a little prickly on, but the other things, there are some things in So This Is Basically videos. Not many, but there's a few I'd be like, that didn't matter that much. That's fine. I'm gonna give that a pass.
One of the harder questions I asked Jello was, if these are the only episodes, are you satisfied with them?
God, it's tricky since you're asking me that, since I'm like still feeling the physical effects of doing this show. If you asked me that in a year, I'd definitely say, yeah, I'd love to do more. Right now, I'm very much like, I could die and it would be fine. I'm done. It's this even split between like, man, do I want to do more of that work? And man, I love X character and Y plot line that I have planned out for immediately if we get to start working on this again. And I'm so excited. Like there's an episode I have planned where just a dumb, pointless, fun episode where Molly and Giovanni want to make cookies together just for an afternoon, but Giovanni is still on the lam because he's a criminal. So they have to like sneak into a grocery store and like while literally doing like the two kids in a trench coat kind of antics, like, yes, I'd like some sugar. Do not ask questions. I am not a criminal. And I think that stuff would be really, really fun. There's a lot I'd like to build on, but I'm definitely satisfied that by episode 7, I'm like, that's a solid episode. We did that justice and I'm happy with it.
She leans over and grabs the scaffolding. As she tightens her grip on the steel beam, it rusts and decays. The bottom crumbles, and the structure begins to fall towards the ground! Move! Timber!
So what can we learn through Jello's journey through this production that he went through? And what does it mean to the potential artist wanting to make something of their own? I'm specifically talking about you, the person in the audience who has a bunch of OCs gathering dust on the store shelf that is their life.
Anyone can become a villain for the low, low price of $49.99 a month.
So there's no skill requirement to enlist.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing. I just thought that seemed like a pretty lofty membership fee.
I know, right? It's more than my entire allowance!
There are 3 key aspects to take away from this video regarding creating a series. Number 1, management. Plan out everything as best you can beforehand and try to keep your vision intact along the way. Number 2, reality. Understand your limitations and what you're actually feasibly able to do with your product. And lastly, letting go. If you signed off on less episodes than you originally thought, or there might not even be a season 2 for your idea, you must at least take time to appreciate the opportunity, as not many people get to have it to begin with.
You have to be a specific type of person to get a series made. And I know a lot of really creative people who are like amazing artists, amazing writers, who are kind of flaky or are like really bad with finances. And either you need to find a team of people who can keep you in line and working and constantly dedicated, or work on your, like, wherever your weak areas are, you need to get people to help you with those. If you are unable to do that, the sad fact of the matter might be that like your thing will not get made because no one wants to see your thing made as much as you. Make the thing you want to make because no one else will make it.
Speaking of, I got my good friend Your Narrator to do some lines for a funny skit, and using Neat's King Bee microphone to record my lines and the GAOMON PD2200 to animate, I produced a little cartoon, as you can see now.
Now, young one, take your wand and zap the toad.
No, I can't. It seems so friendly.
But it ate your family.
It did?
It ate someone's family. Probably. Look, now go kill the toad.
Yeah, that was so easy.
Good. Now your next wizard task is to file my taxes.
What's dangerous about them?
I didn't keep my W-2s or receipts. Now, get to work.
Such as how I brought my creation to life. If you want Epithet Erased to get a second season to life, then go ahead and support Jello on Patreon, and watch his series on Verve.
If you want to help me get out of the hole and pay back my friends who I owe loans to, Patreon is a really good way to do it because you get a lot of stuff for even like $1, and for $5 you get all the commentaries, all the outtakes, bunch of old stuff too. There's like literally hours of audio to listen through, so that's a good reward. Anyone watching who has watched Epithet Erased, thank you so much for watching my show. It was a huge labor of love and huge effort on my part. It was literally my financial, physical, and mental limit. And to see people enjoy it is really wonderful. Thank you.
Until the next time I post on this channel, you should go check out my second one where I talk about video games. But for you specifically, I would like for you to have